Welcome to List of. You've probably heard the saying, necessity is the mother of invention. It's a nice thought. It implies we're all very smart, very focused, and only build things to solve world hunger or cure diseases. But history has a secret. Many of the greatest things humanity has ever created were actually the result of people, just messing around with things they thought were totally useless. Sometimes the greatest revolutionary tech started as a solution looking for a problem. Today, we're counting down the things we thought were useless until they changed literally everything. It's the list of things we thought were useless until they changed everything. Number 1. Lasers. When Theodore Maiman fired the first functional laser in 1960, the scientific community gave it a collective cool story, bro. His own peers famously dubbed it a solution looking for a problem. At the time, the laser was a weak red dot that couldn't even burn through a piece of paper. Critics joked that the only thing it was good for was blinding your coworkers or becoming the world's most expensive cat toy. Though back then, cats hadn't been briefed on the concept yet. Fast forward 60 years. If we turned off every laser on Earth right now, global civilization would stop. Your high-speed fiber optic internet dead. Most modern surgeries canceled. Scanning your groceries. Good luck remembering the price of a rutabaga. From cutting steel to playing Dark Side of the Moon on a CD player, which is also obsolete now. But you get the point. The useless red dot is the backbone of the 21st century. Number 2. The microwave magnetron. During World War II, engineers were obsessed with the magnetron, a vacuum tube that generated shortwave radio signals for radar. It was a weapon of war meant to find Nazi bombers. Then came Percy Spencer. Percy was an engineer at Raytheon who happened to be standing in front of a live magnetron when he noticed something disturbing. The chocolate bar in his pocket had turned into a puddle. Now, a normal person might worry about their internal organs being cooked. Percy, however, thought, I bet I could pop corn with this. When the first Radarange came out in 1946, it was 6 feet tall, weighed 750 pounds, and cost about $5,000. People thought it was a ridiculous, expensive gimmick. Who would pay thousands of dollars to avoid using a stove? Today, there is a microwave in 90% of American homes, and leftovers is an actual food group. Number 3. GPS satellites. In the 1970s, when the U.S. military started launching the Global Positioning System, the public and even Congress didn't see the point. It was incredibly expensive, and the military was already pretty good at finding things using maps and their eyes. Even when it became functional, the government intentionally blurred the signal for civilians so you could only get a close enough reading, usually within a few hundred feet. It was considered a specialized tool for nuclear missile guidance and nothing else. But then, the blurring was turned off in the year 2000. Suddenly, that useless military clock in the sky allowed for Uber, DoorDash, Tinder, and the ability to find a Starbucks in a city you've never been to without crying. We went from, why do we need satellites to tell us where we are? To, I literally cannot find my own driveway without my phone talking to me. Number 4. MRI technology. In the mid-20th century, physicists were studying something called nuclear magnetic resonance, or NMR. It was a niche way to study the spin of atoms. It was pure science, the kind of thing that makes people's eyes glaze over at dinner parties. When researchers suggested using it to look inside the human body, the medical community was skeptical. First of all, the machines were massive magnets that would rip the oxygen tank out of a room. Second, it was called nuclear magnetic resonance, and people generally don't like the word nuclear near their livers. So, they dropped the word nuclear, called it MRI, and suddenly it changed medicine forever. What was once a boring physics experiment with atoms became the only way to see a brain tumor or a torn ligament without actually cutting a person open. Number 5. Touchscreens. Believe it or not, the first touchscreen was invented in 1965 by E.A. Johnson. It was used for air traffic control, but for the next 30 years, the world basically said, no thanks, we like buttons. Even in the 90s and early 2000s, critics thought touchscreens were a finger painting gimmick. They were laggy, they got covered in grease, and everyone thought the physical keyboard on the BlackBerry was the peak of human evolution. Why would I want to type on glass? People asked. Then, in 2007, a certain fruit-themed company decided the button was dead. Today, you are likely watching this video on a device that doesn't have a single physical key. We've gone from it's a gimmick to toddlers trying to swipe the pages of physical books because they think the paper is broken. Number 6. The Internet. In 1969, the first message was sent over ARPANET, the precursor to the Internet. It was sent from UCLA to Stanford. The message was supposed to be login, but the system crashed after the first 2 letters, so the first message ever sent on the Internet was just low. For nearly 2 decades, the Internet was a playground for academics and the military to send text files to each other. In 1995, Newsweek published a famous article titled, "Why the Web Won't Be Nirvana," claiming that no one would ever want to buy things online, read news on a screen, or spend time in virtual communities. The author literally wrote, "The truth is, no online database will replace your daily newspaper. That aged about as well as a gallon of milk and a sauna." What was once a useless hobby for nerds is now the fundamental infrastructure of the human race. If the internet goes down for 10 minutes, the global economy enters a fetal position. Number 7. CRISPR Early Research. In the 1980s, researchers in Japan noticed something weird in the DNA of E. coli bacteria. There were these strange, repeating sequences that didn't seem to do anything. For years, scientists ignored them, calling them junk DNA or a biological glitch. It was considered a dead-end field of study. Then, a few curious scientists realized these repeats were actually a defense mechanism, a way for bacteria to remember and cut the DNA of invading viruses. This useless bacterial mystery turned into CRISPR-Cas9, the most powerful gene editing tool in history. We went from "why does this yogurt bacteria have weird DNA?" to "we can now potentially cure sickle cell anemia, malaria, and blindness." It's arguably the most important discovery in the history of biology, and we almost ignored it because it looked like a typo in a germ. So, the next time you see a scientist studying something that sounds completely pointless, like the flight patterns of gnats or why certain rocks vibrate, maybe don't laugh. History shows us that today's useless curiosity is tomorrow's world-changing miracle. What do you think is the most useless thing today that will be essential in 50 years? Let us know in the comments. While you're down there, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to list of 4 more deep dives into the weird history of everything. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.